Flutey Feminist. Today I have a fun video where I'm going to do a Q&A. I'm going to answer questions that my friends sent me on Instagram and via text. So let's just get right to it. Question 1. If you could live anywhere in the world besides Canada, where would you live and why? So yes, I live in Canada, in Montreal to be specific. I would probably live in either Ireland or Scotland. One of the many reasons is because they speak English there, which is a plus. But I've always been fascinated by the UK, the culture, the accents, of course. So yeah, either Ireland or Scotland. Question 2. What is your pet peeve? It would have to be people who are like rude using public transit. I have an entire blog post dedicated to that I will link below to so you can find out why it bothers me so much. Question 3. What's your biggest passion? My biggest passion would be talking to friends and family about the things that I'm passionate about, such as music and social justice. I like talking, I like discussing things, so yeah. Question 4, cats or dogs? Oh, to the person who sent me this, you know I like both. This is unfair. I like both cats and dogs, but in terms of adopting and owning one, I would adopt a cat instead of a dog, just because with dogs you have to take them out for walks like every single day, no exception, and I don't think I'll ever want to commit to that. Question 5, which celebrity would you date? Definitely either Cameron Esposito or Sophie Hagen. They are both comedians that I adore. They both have awesome podcasts, and they're just some of my favorite humans ever. Question 6, what's your favorite book? I have a lot of books that I love, but my favorite would probably be The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, just because, as corny as this sounds, it was really my feminist awakening, where I realized that the world was really unequal and bad for women, and I just love reading the book as a book in and of itself. So yeah, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Question 7. Sorry, I can't read. What would be your 3 wishes from a genie? Definitely number 1 would be that all marginalized communities have justice and equity and safety and peace. My second wish would be that I could own a cat and never worry about their health. And my third wish, I think, would be that I have financial stability, guaranteed forever. Doesn't mean I, don't have to go to work, but just that I never have to worry about my basic finances. Question 8, do you like Disney movies? Yeah, I do. I don't love them and I don't dislike them, so I'm pretty neutral. I like the classic princess movies pretty well, and definitely more recent animated movies I thoroughly enjoy. Question 9, if you had to suddenly change careers, what would you choose? I think I would go into linguistics, because language is fascinating to me. It's so fascinating. Both how languages are constructed and how we as humans use language. So yeah, linguistics. Question 10. What instrument would you love to try one day? The violin! Oh my god, I want to try the violin. Mostly because of Two Set Violin. They're YouTubers and they're awesome. And they've just really made the violin seem even cooler than I previously thought it was. So send me good vibes that I can afford to one day rent a violin and take lessons. Question 11. Do you have a favorite type of flower? That's a really unique question. I do not. I don't particularly like flowers. I think they're pretty, but I wouldn't be able to recognize, I think, 99% of them. So no. Question 12. Can you share some of your self-care techniques? Yes. I'll share my fundamental one, which is just the mindset I have as a human being and how I function in the world. And that is that I treat myself like I would treat someone I loved. So at the end of the day, I think we all need to love ourselves in order to function and in order to thrive. So I don't yell at myself unnecessarily, I don't berate myself, nothing like that. Inside my head, my self-talk are things that I would say to someone that I loved. But I think I'll make a full video on self-care because I think it's really, really important. So look out for that. Question 13. When did you start playing the flute? I started playing the flute when I was in grade 4. So I was around 9.5 years old, but I usually round to 10 because it makes it easier for me to count. So I've been playing for basically 14 years. Question 14. Have you ever cried at a film? I cry at everything. I cry at TV shows and movies on the regular, so yes. One of the films I cried the most at was definitely Coco. Yeah. I will say no more, just watch the movie. Question 15. Have you ever been to Europe? Yes, I have. This summer I went to Paris for an international flute competition, which was very fun. And I also spent time sightseeing, walking around, and I absolutely loved it. I've also been in the London airport on my way to Kenya. Yes, I will make a video about that. Question 16. What is your favorite performance memory? That would have to be just almost a year ago, on December 10th, I had a studio class concert, and it was basically the first time that I felt super, super free and happy on stage as a result of many different things, you know, things that I learned, mindsets that I changed, all sorts of things. I had the time of my life, and I played really well, and I was happy, and it was wonderful. I'm gonna link to one of the pieces I played in that concert, and I hope you can see when you watch it, like how much I was enjoying myself. Question 17. What is your favorite drink of all? Juice! Yeah. I have a slight little inside joke with my coworkers, so if they're watching, they'll probably laugh. But yes, I love all juices except tomato juice, not a huge fan. Any kind of juice, apple juice, orange juice. I like blends, mixes of juices, juice. Question 18. How many books did you read last year? Last year I read 58 books. Sounds impressive, but a few of those were rereads. Cheated. And I know how many I read because I use an app called Goodreads, which I think is my favorite website in the whole world. This is not sponsored because I just started this YouTube channel, but hopefully one day it will be. I love Goodreads. You can track the books you read. You could look up basically any book in the world. You could find a little description, reviews, everything and anything relating to books. There's also giveaways. I've won like 4 or 5 books in the 10 years I've been on the site. It's just an awesome, awesome app and website, and you can set reading goals each year. This year I'm failing miserably, but I will link my Goodreads profile in the description box so you can check out all the books I've read basically in my whole life, what I'm reading now, and what my reading goal is, and you will laugh. Question 19. If there was one thing you could change about the world, what would it be? Just generally, it would be that marginalized communities see an end to discrimination, prejudice, violence, bigotry, etc. Just that all marginalized communities basically are not marginalized anymore. Question 20. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years, 20 years? I try not to think too much about this. I want to focus more on shorter term things, just so that I don't experience too much anxiety. But ideally, in 10 years, just in general, I would like to be financially stable and like living off of my creative endeavors. So playing flute, teaching, and maybe even YouTube or writing. I still do enjoy writing. So I'd like to basically not have to work a part-time job, ideally. Question 21. What do you like and dislike the most about the classical music world? Great question. What I like the most is the sense of community that we have. We're kind of like a special group of humans in the world. You know, we train for years and years, and I think it's just nice and cozy to have like a group of people that we can all relate to each other, and we play with each other, which is better than, you know, sitting in a cubicle and not interacting with coworkers. So the fact that you get to play music with your coworkers is really awesome. I'd say what I dislike the most would be the kind of rigid expectation of like, you're in the classical music world, so you must want to be in an orchestra. I think it's a pretty pervasive expectation still. And I mean, nowadays there's like a million things you could do as a classical musician, which is awesome. But I think there's still that sense of like, you kind of failed if you're not in an orchestra, whether by choice or not. And so I hope that kind of keeps disappearing, because I know it slowly is. Question 22. Who or what do you think influenced and inspired you to be the person you are today? I would have to say Brené Brown and her work on shame, vulnerability, and courage hugely inspired me. Her work is just amazing. As well, Carol Dweck and her book Mindset literally changed my life. I will link to the blog post I made about this last year, and what I learned from her book. Apart from those two women, I would say since I started following people on Instagram a couple of years ago, I've learned the most I've ever learned. And so all the content creators and activists have definitely inspired me and influenced who I am as a person. Question 23. What books, TV shows, or movies do you think should be mandatory reading and watching? That's a really tough question because there's obviously so many. But basically, the two women I just mentioned, Brené Brown and Carol Dweck, their work, I think, yes, mandatory reading. In terms of like shows and movies, gosh, there's so many. I think Coco is like my favorite movie, so that's mandatory. And also the movie Get Out, for example, really, really, really is an amazing movie. So those two come to mind right now. There's a zillion. In terms of TV shows, I really like the show My Mad Fat Diary. It's kind of like an underwatched show that's over now, but that is so good. So good. And it's definitely one of my all-time favorite shows. So I would check that out if you could find it online somewhere. Question 24. What are you currently loving and hating? I'm currently loving Lizzo. I have been this whole year. I'm also enjoying my new life. Basically, this is my first year out of school. I have a new apartment, I'm teaching, so I like my life flow. I'm hating Andrew Scheer, who is the leader of the Conservative Party here in Canada. He sucks. So, yeah. Question 25. Who do you recommend your subscribers should be listening to or following? Too many people to name. I will quite simply link below a blog page that I have, which just lists my favorite things. So my favorite Instagrammers, YouTubers, favorite websites, that sort of thing. I haven't updated it in a while, but I'm sure everyone who's on there I still love. So I'll link to that below. But the first person that basically comes to mind that you have to follow and read the work of is Alok Vade Menon. They are a very special human being, and I love them so much. So yeah, Alok Vade Menon. Chwekwilla. I can't speak. Question 26. What is your favorite time of the year? I really like this time of year. Fall is nice. I like the combination of like still having really sunny days, but there's a little chill in the air, so you get a bit cozy with your coat. And the leaves are falling and changing. When I used to go to Orford, with my youth orchestra, we would go in the fall, and the trees there were amazing, so gorgeous with the colors. But I think my all-time favorite time of year is Christmas time. Yes, I am Jewish, you are correct. However, I adore Christmas music so much, so much, too much, definitely too much. And it's really the one time of year that I feel the most cozy, just like every day when I wake up, doesn't matter if it's snowing or not or whatever, I feel like warm inside. I just love that time of year. Question 27, favorite piece to play? Impossible to choose. So I would say right now, I'm really enjoying working on the Franck Violin Sonata, which has been transcribed for flute. It's definitely one of my all-time favorite pieces to play. It's beautiful, 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 very passionate and emotional. So I love playing that. Question 28, favorite composer? I can't pick. Some of my favorite composers are definitely Beethoven, Prokofiev, and Stravinsky, I would say. I also really love Mahler. And then in terms of like flute-specific composers, Gaubert, I think, would have to be my favorite. I've played 2 of his sonatas on my recitals, and I've played some of his other music, and it's just absolutely gorgeous and beautifully written for the flute. So yeah. Question 29. How do you feel about the upcoming Canadian election? I mean, in terms of like who I'm going to be voting for, I feel fine because I've decided that I'm voting for the Green Party, so that's all good. The thing is, like, it's still upsetting that people think that you can only vote for liberals or conservatives when, like, we've I think always had more than 2 parties, correct me if I'm wrong, but as long as I've been voting, and I'm sure for much longer, we do not just have 2 parties in Canada or in each province. So that's confusing. It's like, oh, well, I don't like Justin Trudeau, so I'm going to vote conservative. No, don't do that. Vote Green. But yeah, so I feel unsettled. And question 30, last question. What is your favorite phrase or saying? My favorite phrase currently is, do not be afraid to fail, be afraid not to try. It really resonates with me, and it's really changed my perspective on what I want to do with my life and how I want to live it. And I think I used to be the person that was definitely afraid to try because I didn't want to risk failing, which meant that I didn't ever really fail much, but I also never really succeeded very strongly at things. It really kind of was like the whole story of my flute journey. So yeah, do not be afraid to fail, be afraid not to try. And just like that, the video is over. Let me know if you want me to turn any of these answers into full-length videos. I'm sure I will pick a couple anyways, but let me know in the comments which ones you're curious for me to elaborate on. Also, make sure to like this video if you liked it, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more content. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. All the links will always be in the description box.